Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we usually go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. However, today we have a special bonus episode where we're looking at a 2025 film from Netflix. It's the crime thriller drama called Night Always Comes. It's directed by Benjamin Caron and stars Vanessa Kirby, Jason Leigh, Zack Gottsagen, Stephen Jones, Randall Park, Julia Fox, Michael Kelly, and Eli Roth. I'm Jesse, I'm your host. Thank you for joining me for this special Netflix original film bonus episode. As always, if you haven't seen this film and you're interested on checking it out, give us a pause and come back a little bit later on because we will spoil this film as we go. We start our show with the Fast Flicks, where we do a quick little summary of what the film's all about. So this one's about a woman who goes on a night of bad deeds to raise the much needed funds to save her family home. Very simplistic from me, but this film is a lot more than that, and I think there may be varying degrees of enjoyment in this film. This one has a pretty good story. Let's have a discussion around how it ended up on Netflix, what's going on around the world. So, as the title Night Always Comes, it's about a woman who has a big night chasing down some cash around the world. In Chinese, it's called The Night Finally Arrives, so that makes sense. In Swedish, it's called The Darkness That Falls. I don't mind that one. That one's not too bad. And the only other one was in Turkish. It's called Night Will Surely Fall. So, all play on that idea of night and what happens at night, and the dangers at times, I guess, where we would go with that one. All right, the tagline. This one had a tagline: $25,000, one night, no other options. Simplistic, maybe a little bit too simple for what this film is all about. Anyway, let's talk about it. March 2024, it was announced that this film would be produced by Luna Entertainment under their agreement with Netflix. And the film, it's based on the 2021 novel by Willie Vlooten, and it would be directed by Benjamin Caron from a script by Sarah Conrant. Principal photography commenced in Portland, Oregon, in America, in the spring of 2024. So it went from May 14th till July the 2nd. What drew me to the film was its exploration of survival and sacrifice and the idea of quiet heroism, the director Caron said. It asks the question, who gets to feel safe and at what cost? He went on to say, the emotional core of the book was my compass, but there's a heightened sense of immediacy and propulsion to cinema where the audience feels every blow and every betrayal and every hope. The adaptation became even more of a character-driven thriller with Lynette at the center of every frame. I also opened up the book by having Portland itself become a character in the movie. The contrast between the city's foreclosed buildings and the gentrified neighborhoods reflecting Lynette's personal crisis. The director cited the Safdie brothers' Uncut Gems and Good Time as an influence on the picture's breakneck momentum. He said, the idea that you can work 3 jobs and still not be able to afford your own home is a universal modern tragedy. Lynette's story represents millions of people who are just 1 or 2 paychecks away from collapse. Of course, the film is in the thriller genre, but I also wanted to get across the idea that nurses or caregivers or whoever are being priced out of the very cities that they help to keep running. The situation first struck him during a visit to Los Angeles. He said, I remember being genuinely shocked by seeing the homeless crisis there. People are like, they must be drug addicts. It's very easy to throw labels like that around, but they can't all be addicts. People are not just falling into homelessness, they're being pushed. As a Netflix production, Night Always Comes didn't have a theatrical run. The director Caron said, it's so sad. He said, look, I remember in the 1980s and 90s, you'd hear about a film in America and it would take 6 months until it reached the UK. There was this feverish anticipation, FOMO really, and it's true, that doesn't exist in the same way. But I'm a romantic. I like to think the world sort of had a stroke during COVID and everyone retreated into their rooms and drew the curtains. Slowly, they've been coming back, blinking into the daylight. Look at Barbie and Oppenheimer. Those are moments where the audience feels that connection of sitting in a cinema and having a shared experience. For those 2 hours, you can be sucked into this portal and taken on a journey. Whereas at home, you're always going to be distracted. Even though he said that, he said he loved Netflix. He says, they changed my career. I owe so much to those guys. With The Crown, which is a Netflix original TV series, I was working with the budget of a mid-sized movie with actors who would normally be in films. And people have bigger screens now. It's not like the 1980s. No director would say they wouldn't love viewers to sit in the cinema and watch what they've made. But you also want lots of people to see your work. And hopefully a few million might watch this film. That's a good segue, isn't it? How's this sitting with critics and audiences so far as we're heading into, maybe a couple of days since this has been released now? It did hit Netflix on the 15th of August 2025. It was filmed in Portland, Oregon, and it's been put on the 2025 Reframe Stamp feature list. But what are the critics and audiences saying? On Rotten Tomatoes, currently sits at 55%. That's on 33 reviews, which puts it into the rotten side. There aren't enough audience reviews as of yet. We go to IMDb, only 1,700 people have rated it, but it sits at a 5.8 out of 10, a little bit higher. We go to Letterboxd, where it sits at a 2.8 out of 5 on nearly 4,000 ratings. So, again, not too high. But on Metacritic, we have a 62 out of 100 from the critics. That's on 12 reviews. And on their traffic light system of red, yellow, and green. That is definitely green, as well as the audience at a 6.4 out of 10 on 10 reviews. So, green there as well. That sort of tells me this is a mixed bag. This is a mixed bag of a film. What were my early thoughts? I thought it was visually impressive. I thought it was well shot. Kirby performs well. Had me on the edge of my seat the whole time, so not too many complaints for me. I think this is a decent Netflix original film that's worth a watch. Let's get into it. Let's get into the crux of this film. Let's talk about some characters. What are some characters in this film? What are their roles? This film is about Lynette. This film is hers, Vanessa Kirby. I think she's in every single shot of this film. She has a father who's abandoned her mother, and her brother. And her mother seems like a presence that's barely there as well. And she has a disabled brother. So everything in her life is complicated. And to escape this, she has to do a lot of things that no one could comprehend doing throughout her youth and now into her older years. She works 3 jobs. She works the assembly line at a bakery. She works at a bar. She sells herself. And she does this from the point of view for the evening or the night that we see in the film. She does this to benefit the family or more so her brother, as well as putting herself through school to better herself as well. But there is this lingering question as to how much or how long she's been back on the scene trying to help the family, trying to help her brother Kenny, because the idea that she's trying to be his mum because her mum wasn't there for her sort of rings through a little bit, but it's difficult to work out whether she's just had this moral compass sort of change for a recent time in this film. Kenny, the brother, sort of spoke about this. He's older than Lynette, and he has a disability, and he has to be cared for. He's been cared for his whole life. He sees himself as the man of the family, though, and looks and takes on that responsibility that he thinks he needs to look after his younger sister, even though she scares him at times with her anger and her outbursts. And he makes a comment too, like deep down he misses his dad, and I think that's a part of the disconnection between this family at times, is that someone's abandoned you, and that is always going to throw a dagger into your heart. Doreen is Kenny and Lynette's mother, who doesn't like we only see her at the bookends of the film. Realistically, she has this opportunity at the start of the film to sign the deal for their home, to sign this loan, and she spends the cash instead on a brand new car, saying that she is she deserves to be able to spend money on herself, spoil herself, even though this money was set aside to protect Kenny and have a home for the family to live in. But she's set up almost as the bringer of all pain to the kids. And it concludes with her just not being able to get through to her daughter, not being able to be there to support her throughout her life, or blatantly say, I can't have you in my life. And it's so sad. Cody is this guy that comes along for the ride for a while. He's an ex-con. He works with Lynette at the bar, and she gets him to help her break a safe to get some cash to help fund this $25,000 she needs. But he turns the tables on her, and he too is in just as much of a desperate situation as this family is too. The other people are all little side characters. It's almost like these cameos that pop up throughout the film. I'll mention Gloria. Gloria's Lynette's friend, who is now well off because she's dating a married politician, and she's come from poor, and she owes Lynette money, and she won't even pay this debt back, which shows that idea of the poor turning against the poor when needed. And this was obviously seen through Cody as well when he turns on Lynette as well. Let's talk about the director, Benjamin Caron. 31 directing credits, a lot of TV. So this guy's obviously British. You probably picked up on that from the introduction, but he's done TV shows like Sherlock, The Crown, the Disney Plus Andor Star Wars series, as well as the original Skin series, which is a bit of a cult classic for generations of my age. Some scenes. Let's talk about some scenes. What are some scenes that worked in this film? What didn't work in this film? I think there's a lot of stuff in here that it's not necessarily a good scene, but very impactful, and it took me aback throughout the film. Lynette, there's a moment where she goes to see Scott. This is a guy that she's gets paid for to sleep with. He's married, and she's desperate, so she asks this guy Scott for some money to borrow, and he laughs at her, and he tells her that he doesn't want to know that she lives with her mum and her brother. He says he pays for a good time, not to talk about that stuff. That just, that really sat like, it's like one of those moments I was talking about, impactful, but took me back. Lynette, she takes Cody to her friend Gloria's apartment to break in, to steal this money from the safe, and she's told him that, this place is mine as well, and he sarcastically says, nice place for a bartender. I thought that was funny, as well as the follow-up of them trying to get this safe out of this big apartment complex through an elevator with washing all over it. I thought that was funny. Lynette and Cody, they take the safe to this almost crack house, I'd call it, and there's this turn, there's this fight, there's knife, she has a knife to her face, Lynette does, and there's these meth heads, and one of them, almost attacks her, and she takes him down, and they escape. I thought that was thrilling. I thought that was really good. A tender moment. Kenny was in the back seat of the car. Cody's sitting in the car with Lynette, and he's in the back, and he talks about he's a DJ. He's a DJ, Kenny, and he does some rapping. I thought that was a sweet moment. Lynette takes Cody to the stolen car. She's got the cash. She's going to take him to this car. This car's yours. You sell it. And the tables turn. He turns on her, shows his desperation, and then she runs him over. Like, so tense. So tense. That was a good scene. Blake, this gross character, is a drug dealer. Eli Roth plays this guy, and he throws money at her, telling her to pick it up, and he's trying to buy her. That was such a heavy, heavy scene. And finally, this is probably the standout scene of the film, the emotional scene between Lynette and her mother at the end of the film, where she's pulling glass out of Lynette's back, pretty much telling her that she doesn't want to live with her. It was heartbreaking. And she says, I needed my mum. And the mum's like, I can't save you and I can't help you. Whew, heavy. The only thing that didn't work in this, there's this in this film for me. There was a scene where Lynette leaves Gloria's apartment, and there's a sticky note on the mirror that says, it says, control your choices. I thought that was a little bit on the nose. A little bit on the nose that we now know she's going to go and come back and break into this safe. So anyway, that's the only thing that didn't work. What are the themes, the motifs, the ideas in this film? There's a lot about a current situation in America, and I guess it was pretty blatant, very explicit in your face. The first part of this film through television and through radio and through voiceover, but the idea of the fundamentals of American society breaking, the mental health crisis, social services, homelessness, the struggles with money, soaring house prices, unemployment, gentrification, inflation, poor classes, all those things, all in your face. And then I guess, and so this is why some people may be a little bit critical of this film, is that it doesn't continue this on. But I think you've got to think about that we're experiencing this as an audience through Lynette throughout the film. So I thought that was well done at the start. There's obviously that idea of desperation too, that idea of just needing that one win to get you out of this situation. And that leads from trauma, the idea of family, not being there or supporting, or also the abuse of vulnerable women throughout this film. But on the other side, hope, and that idea of bettering yourself and fighting. Lynette's a fighter because life is hard, and hopefully she's going to come out on the better side of this. IMDb. We have a moment sometimes where we jump onto IMDb to check someone out. I didn't need to look it up because Randall Park comes on the screen, and all I could think of was that Netflix original show Blockbuster about the video store. It was weird seeing him in a non-humorous role, but he did well. And if you haven't seen the Blockbuster show on Netflix, give it a look. We did a bonus episode on that series as well. And the other one, Michael Kelly, rocks up in. These are all those cameo moments I mentioned before. Guy from House of Cards, as well as when Eli Roth appeared. First off, I thought that was Zachary Quinto, and then I was like, that's Eli Roth. And so lots of little cameos, I guess. What else did I take away from this film? I think there's some pretty heavy stuff in this film, but I do think that the creative team did a good job of not glorifying the trauma or the pain, or turning this into almost like porn torture. And I think that probably plays a part in having Vanessa Kirby as not only the lead of the film, but part of the production team. I think that was a smart choice, and I think they did a pretty good job throughout with this one as well. Some questions, some pondering, some thoughts, some ideas. Cody, and this felt off. The moment that Lynette's in the car following him, asking him to break into her safe, the idea that you're making Cody, an African-American black man, a safe expert, it just felt off. I don't know, it just didn't sit right with me. The film, would it have benefited from focusing on Lynette's trauma rather than the economic predicament, the idea that she's just chasing the cash? Maybe a little bit more insight into the pain that she's feeling throughout. We get these little flashback moments throughout of the trauma and the pain from before, but it's not really zoned in on. Maybe a little bit more could have added a little bit to this. The mother, I spoke before, the mother blew all the cash on a brand new car. And I think they referred to it as Mazda Madness. I like that. I hope there's some car dealerships that run with that. That was cool. The question here, Lynette, is she really an innocent person who is the reflection of her trauma and upbringing, and it's that she lost her innocence too early, or is it that she's not innocent at all? I think that's an interesting question that the film doesn't, it's one to ponder, I would say. And the idea too, like, she committed so many crimes, it's hard to think that she isn't held accountable, or is it because all the people in it are so bad that this accountability would never happen anyway? I thought that was an interesting little thought too. Other than that, I'm ready to wrap this one up. I've probably waffled enough as it is. We give the film a rating out of 5 on this show. For me, I think that it's, like I said before, it's very blatant in the opening moments of what it's trying to say. And then it sort of turns more implicit through these connections through Lynette. And she's had a tough life and may not seem like it throughout, but I think she is a good person and wants to do good, and it's a solid thriller. It had me engaged the whole time. I'm giving this a 3.5 out of 5. Solid film from me. We're on socials. We have Instagram, we have Facebook, and we have X, formerly known as Twitter. Jump on there, give us a follow, give us a like if you can. The question that I wanted to ask was, did you judge Lynette at all throughout the film? Because I look back and I go, I don't think I really judged her for the actions that she was doing. It was almost more that you wanted to see her succeed, maybe because of her brother, maybe because you believed that this family could have got together at the end and had a happy life if they were able to take ownership of this property. So I think that's a tick for the filmmakers if you've got this character doing all these bad things and she doesn't cop any judgment from the audience. I thought that was good. Other than that, we are back next week on Monday for our usual episode. We do have a huge back catalogue. I think we've got 460 episodes on Netflix original content. So if there's something on Netflix you've seen, we've probably done a show. Have a look, have a search through our catalogue, give us a follow, give us a like. I will see you Monday for our regular episode.